Welcome to the webinar on key components of your race website. My name is James. This is a great webinar for race directors and anybody who wants to get the most out of a RunSignup race website and learn how to customize them and how to promote your website. So we'll get into the webinar here in just a moment, but I've got a few housekeeping items to go over. On your webinar control panel, there is an orange arrow in the upper left-hand corner that you can click to minimize your screen or to minimize your webinar screen. There's also a questions tab, which you can use to submit questions at any point during the webinar. I'll be doing my best to answer those, and at the end, we can go over anything that has been missed. This webinar is being recorded and will be released within 24 to 48 hours to all participants. So you don't need to take notes, just sit back and listen and learn. And with that, I'll turn it over to our account manager, Steve Bingham-Hawk, who will lead us on today's webinar. Steve?
Yeah, thanks, James. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. This is a great topic, key components of your race website. You know, this is sort of and oftentimes the first experience that folks are going to have with your event, with your race. And so we want it to look pretty dang awesome, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how do we do that? So the components are sort of the components of our discussion today, our agenda. We're going to cover the basics, sort of what automatically comes with creating a race through our race wizard and what's happening in the background on a RunSignup site. Then talk about branding. How do you make it look and feel like your race and your company and your nonprofit or your company, whatever as you're trying to put forth, whatever brand you're trying to put forth. And how do you build custom content to, again, make it look and feel and give all the information that you want to make sure that your registrants, your spectators, your volunteers are getting. Or need to get. And then cover pages. How do we take our sort of default layout and move it to the next level to create something that really resembles sort of your most dynamic websites out there on the web? And then we'll also talk about domains. So you can bring over that coveted name that you bought many years ago. Maybe you just bought it and you want to use that instead of a runsignup.com link. You can do that automatically and free, you guys. So we're going to talk through that. And then as James mentioned, we're going to have a Q&A with any time permitting. And if not, of course, we'll be following up with you afterwards. So let's cover the basics. So again, it is automatically created, your website, when you go through the race wizard creating your race. So you do not need to enable that separately. It is included in that process. And so by default, it's going to include key race details, and it'll present it in a relatively simple format through what we call a race info page. Now that race info page can then be moved to its own separate page, and then you can have a completely different landing page. That's a cover page, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So with your sort of basic site, and I have an example here from this Utah National Parks Virtual Challenge, still looks great, right? You've got an awesome banner image, there's text that's overlaying it, it's pulling from information that you entered when you completed the race wizard, it's giving you a few content description headers with some information there, a couple of custom ones that I added. I also put in our beneficiaries under the sponsors module, so it's showing that. But you can enhance this even further to make it look even better or similar to this if you like the look, and going a bit further when we're getting into those cover pages. So to enhance it, you're going to want to really focus on showcasing your brand, and you can add unlimited content, guys. Now, I don't recommend creating hundreds of pages. That would be really hard for anybody to really get through and get anything meaningful out of it. But you're not limited. So if you do need to house a lot, the sky is yours to paint, as they say. So, and then you can organize the content however you'd like, using drop-down menus under headers. And of course, it already looks professional, but you can continue to make it look professional with further customization. And it's going to include key information sort of automatically. And so what do you get with a race website? It's professional and it's your brand first, guys, no ads. You're not going to see other events being promoted on our platform. You're not going to see our company being promoted. It is all you, so that you can make it look exactly the way that you want it to. It's easy to customize. I think that's one thing that I was an organizer before I came to the RunSignup team, and I felt like it was so intuitive to create these sites. And so I, you know, and you're going to see some of that as we go through some screenshots and actually do a quick demo. You can add call to action buttons. Let's face it, that's where the eyes are being drawn. So when you want people, if you're wanting them to donate, if you're wanting them to register, if you're wanting them to go to look at some other site for the course map, you can use these call to action buttons to really direct them in a specific way. You can do quick links to the participant lookup so they can check on their registration. Maybe they forgot what event they signed up for. How do they register? How do they manage their registration? So within the website on the RunSignup site, the profile icon at the top right-hand corner, they can easily get to their registration and manage it from there. You can also provide the quick links to the results and photos if you have those enabled. But wait, there's more. So what's going on behind the scenes? Yes, the search engine optimization on our sites is incredible. And I'll give you an example. So in my other life, I organize an event. And when I search for that event in any Google or any other web browser search engine website, when I type that event name in, what comes up first? Is it my event website that I've done, you know, on GoDaddy through WordPress, or is it the RunSignup site where I host registration? It is always the RunSignup site is the top hit. And the reason that is important is because it means that people are getting to the point of a transaction, to the point where they're making a decision, a purchase decision to register for your race, and that's right on the top. So they're not having to go through pages or even scroll down at all. And that's where you're getting your money. That's where you're getting people to commit to join your event. With the race website, you're getting analytics that are built in. You don't have to turn anything on. You don't even have to configure it, although you do have the option to configure sort of how it looks on your dashboard, and we'll take a look at that briefly on the demo. Very mobile responsive. I think that's one thing that our development team is so proud of, is to make sure that no matter what size device somebody's viewing your site on, it is going to feel appropriate and proportional. And there's some little tips and tricks, and I'm going to go over a couple of those in today's presentation, so stay tuned for that. The piece that I love is that it's data driven. So you can host custom content that is static, right? You can put up maps, you can put images, you can put your event schedule. Those are all kind of static data points, right? But you also have data that is being driven by purchases, so that you can host a module or a content piece on your cover page that shows who your top fundraisers are. And that is in real time, because it's taking data as transactions are processing on RunSignup and then populating those modules with your data. So it's incredibly dynamic, it's up to date, and it's all happening automatically without you doing anything as the organizer. The other important piece to us, security. I mean, just always number one, always one of the most primary topics of our development calls and meetings. So we pride ourselves on being PCI compliant, so you can feel really confident about sending your participants. If you're a partner or you're a race management company, you're sending your clients here, you can feel really good that they're going to be in great hands with us and their data is safe. All right, how can you brand your race website? So doing that, first of all, I want to point out here, you'll see these icons up at the top right, the dashboard location, and then it's showing you a path from your dashboard where you can get to what we're looking at here on these screenshots. So if you want to configure what I'm talking about on any one of these slides, look for this pathway and that will get you there. So in this case, we're talking about, under the race theme, the race template. So you've got a vertical or a horizontal navigation. If you prefer, I would say most use the horizontal, and that's where we default to. You've got other design and layout elements where you can hide the race name on mobile devices to let a little bit more room for some of the graphics to show. So little customizations like that can make a difference and fit to your preferences. And then you can add social media feeds for Facebook and Twitter. So that's that middle icon there. And then you can add a tagline and a countdown clock. So play with these tabs. You can see there's more than what I've talked about here that you can actually configure. And then also under the race theme is your color scheme. And you can see we've got several default schemes that you can pick from. You can also build your own. So in this case, the cup of cocoa theme for our example event that we're using here in these screenshots for the presentation, that is custom. And so when you go in there, you'll be able to put in either a hex code or RGB code so that you can make sure that you're getting the exact colors that you want. There's no guessing. And with your race, under the race theme, you can also change your race logo. So those of you that have been through our race wizard know that you can upload your logo at that time, as well as your banner image, but you can change this later. And under race theme, you can also change your banner image. So again, you can put it up in the race wizard, or you can go through and click through or select from our numerous default banner images, or upload your own. And our recommendation for the size for that is 2000 pixels by 800 pixels, like you see on the screen. Branding tools. So some of us have graphic designers on staff. Some of us have third-party contractors that work for us. Some are yourself, and you're the one that is figuring out. And maybe you're using, in the past, you've used Word and PowerPoint to some degree of success, or you've taken screenshots and modify this. And I think people are getting more and more familiar with this, but if not, Canva is a really great website. Of course, we love our graphic designers. They do so much for us, but when our budgets are tight on certain events, or we need something really, really quick, it's a great solution. And so if you see some of the things that are on this site, it's very likely that we were using Canva to create it in conjunction with work that our graphic designers have done. So I find that combination to work really well for a lot of organizers. So let's talk about custom content. So that's where we're going beyond just sort of the default pages and content sections that we default to with the information you've entered in the race wizard and throughout the rest of your dashboard on RunSignup. Okay, so you can build content that is most suited for you. So again, I said before, maybe you want a ton of content on it, maybe you want just a little bit, maybe there's certain pages that make sense. If you're hosting a run, maybe you're doing a non-run event on our site and you don't need to host something with the site. But you want to make sure you prioritize your content to include the most important information and encourage participant action. So, I want to hit on this a little bit here. So I know there's a tendency to really bring all the details, maybe the rules of your triathlon, the all kinds of maps and things, and those could be really helpful. But make sure that wherever the eye is going, the things that are featured the most, that those are the pieces that are motivating them to take the action that you want. So if you're going to lean into anything, you're going to want to lean into images, videos that are showing people that this is an amazing event that they just have to be a part of, and what do they do to become part of it? Those should be forefront, not gobs of lots of paragraphs of text and other things that require time that people just don't have these days. So keep that in mind as you're building your own site. And so under these custom sections, this example here, so this race wants to highlight referrals. And guys, referrals, if you aren't using them, we have other webinars where we've covered this and other topics. But referrals, if you can get up to 20% of people coming from them, and they are free. These are not ads that you are buying. These are people that have either participated in your event or have signed up for your event. You can enable it such that they get a custom URL and they get credit every time somebody uses their custom URL, and then you can reward them with incentives like refunds and prizes. This race really wants to hit that home because right now, without adding this custom content page, it talks about it in the confirmation screen after they're done purchasing. It also is covered in a notification for their registration confirmation, but you can have a whole page dedicated to this that says, whoa, I missed that because I was flying through registration and I had to move to the next thing. I clicked out of the window. So this is a great way to, again, take something that's really important to your event and put it in the spotlight on your RunSignup website. And with custom content display, there's different ways that you can actually put it out there through your site. So you can make it part of just your race info page. You can add it as a whole new menu item at the very top level of your header. You can also add it as a sub menu so that it appears in a drop down. Or you can decide that you just want it to display on the confirmation email only. And then here's a little tip here that we gave. So some folks want to be able to have a header, but not actually put content. And when you create your custom content in our site, it sort of looks like you need to put in content within the paragraph section below. You don't necessarily have to. Just create one that has a heading, okay? And a good example would be like course maps. Let's say I've got all my maps on a dynamic site like something like Map My Run. Okay, so I can make a header called course maps. I don't have any other content other than just the text for the header, and then I create custom content sections for each one of my course maps. And I don't even put anything in that content. I'm just going to put in the link. You can see the second field from the top, URL in the parentheses optional. If I put that link in there, then as soon as they click on that drop down that comes down below courses, it's going to take them out to that third-party site where they can see the course maps. And that way I've organized my information so it's easy to find, but I'm still maintaining what I like about this outside source where they can actually zoom in and zoom out and do lots of other things on that site like Map My Run. And then you can, and this is kind of getting to that where you can organize the menu where you can put all of those custom contents that go out to a third party and organize them into one so that it is a drop down. And you can click and drag within this on the menu order page of our dashboard here. And you can also hide and put them in draft mode. So that way you can work on these things while or without having to put it out there in the public. So now let's talk about cover pages. So you've seen an example of a site with the Utah National Parks Challenge where that's just automatically kind of looks like that. Cover pages, you can see this looks a little bit more professional, dynamic, where we've got different content blocks either in single or double columns, and we've got certain data components that we've brought in that are not included in that default setting. So some things we want to point out about what a cover page is to define it. It's mobile optimized, which is just like the rest of our site. There's a customizable header and content in a way that you can't do with our default, and we're going to get to that very soon here. You can brand it for your race to a whole new level, drive action with additional custom buttons that are not included in that default, because you can basically create any button you want. And you can also add dynamic data components, and one of those I have already been talking about, which is the top fundraisers content block. So this is where you're going to do it, is in your cover page. So how do you enable your cover page and get it started? So again, if you're following the dashboard location path, you're going to go to race website, and then cover page. You'll be asked to enable the page on, and you can build all of the content that you want, including your banner that's going to be used for your cover page. But you can also keep it enabled off while you're building that content. So it doesn't have to be on in order for you to edit it and for you to update it. It's just going to flip over from that default setting or the default view over to cover page view once you've enabled it. So don't worry that you're going to lose your content. You won't. It's just to show. It's just indicating which one you want to be actually displaying to the public. All right, and so now we just kind of want to break down the anatomy of a cover page or a race website with a cover page, okay? So the things we're going to point out here is your branded logo up top. And again, we saw that under the event theme settings. That's still going to be part of it. And you're going to have the header photo from the event. So this is something that somebody uploaded within the cover page piece, and it sort of takes over. And then there's no, well, you can add text to overlay that image, but you can also not do that and make something that maybe has you have a little bit more control over using Canva or your graphic designer. Okay, and then the other piece, here's the custom content in the menu or sub-menu. So that refer your friends page that I was showing you earlier, this is a custom content section that was made into its own menu item so that it appears at the top menu header. Okay, and then the last piece, this is one of the data components. So these are the event tiles, and that shows which events within the race somebody can participate in. And we even have some customization here using event display options so that we have that sort of flag header on the top that says virtual option for the virtual event. And then if we were to scroll down this example event here, you can see that we've got a countdown clock, and you can have that countdown to the date that registration opens or to the actual race day. So this is one of those many data components that you can add as part of your content. This is one of those call to action buttons, and in this case, we're doing it with 2 columns. So on one, I've got text with a call to action, and on the other side of that, the other column within that row, I'm putting an image. All right, so your header banners. So you can create just one header banner image, and that can be static, and that may look great and work for you. But you can add additional ones. You can actually add up to 5 banner images, and then you have some settings so that you can make it an actual slideshow that it moves through. So that makes it dynamic. It gives some motion and draws the eye in and keeps it active. And then you can create content. So that, again, that's like what we were talking about with the data components, with the top fundraisers module. You can add a video, you can add when a price increase is coming, you can add just a single image. And I'm gonna show you kind of what it looks like in the demo. And then your custom action. So you can add in one column, you can add up to 3 custom action buttons. And we try to make it really easy for you by giving you some of those defaults that are sort of the most visited, or the ones that people are looking for the most. So they're looking for results, how to donate, how to volunteer, how to actually sign up. But then again, you can put it to a custom URL, that last option in the dropdown, and that can point to anywhere you'd like, any website. And then here's some examples of the data components that you can add. So you can add your social media icons, the event tiles we showed earlier that show which events you can register for. Sponsors, once you've uploaded your logos, they can appear as a content block. Again, top fundraisers, virtual race distance and tally total. So it will actually pull in that person's how well they're doing on their journey with a virtual race. And then a donation goal thermometer. So how close are we getting to our goal? And that's a great motivator to help, again, with putting action points front and center and in the spotlight for those that are visiting your site and doing what you want to do so you can reach your goals. And then here's another really cool feature, our email capture form. So if you've got people visiting and they're on the fence, they're not ready to register yet, but they want to learn more, this is a great way, and it's in motion, it's active, so it slides onto your screen. You can adjust how many seconds it does with that, and you can still get information from them even though they haven't registered. And then here's a pro tip that, if you don't already know, that we are collecting information from people that at least enter an email in when they start the registration process. You can actually turn on, through our email marketing, automatic notifications that will send something out to people that started but didn't actually finish their registration process. And that's all automatic. All you have to do is enable it. And you can even customize the message that goes out and when it goes out. So again, we're always thinking about how can we help you convert somebody who's interested, who's visiting your RunSignup website, and how do we get them to come to an actual transaction and get committed to your event. And then the other piece I wanted to cover before we move to the demo is website domains. So if you've got an amazing URL like the Cup of Cocoa 5K, you can bring that over, guys. That is not something, you don't have to feel the pressure to build this whole website over in WordPress or wherever you might be doing that, and then host everything and do all the content that you're doing on RunSignup. So you can make them one and the same. And we have had, and I'm not talking about just small races, guys, we've had major, 10,000 plus participant races who have gone away with having multiple sites, one for registration and one for their official event website, and made it one, and using our website to do that. And one of the biggest components and the ability to make that happen and make it seamless and still hold on to your brand equity and all the value there is by using this, what we call a BYO domain. All right, so it's for people that already have an established known website. Maybe you're starting this for the first time and you're really trying to get name recognition out there. And so you've got a really fun event race name and you want people to be typing that in and getting really familiar, with this new name. So you're building brand equity and independence. Maybe you want to host an event that doesn't quite make sense for our other domains like RunSignup, GiveSignup, TicketSignup, or if you didn't know, we've got TrySignup and BikeSignup, all these great different pieces that you can choose that maybe speak to your event, and maybe none of those speak to your event. So again, that would be a reason to bring over your own domain. And then you want to provide you might want to provide legitimacy to a registration website and link it from an existing website. So you can actually create subdomains, something like register.cupofcoco5k.com. So and it's relatively easy. It's scary thinking about how you repoint websites and it done incorrectly, could be a major issue. But anybody that has the experience in your IT department or subcontractor you're working with, as long as they have access to the DNS settings where you're hosting your website, it's fairly easy. You're just adding a few records, and we have some great tutorials online that walk you through this. I mean, it was how I learned, was actually watching our CEO, Bob Bickle, do it on a demonstration at a webinar. He didn't have to coach me through it. I just listened to how he did it. So it is very doable by a lot of people, and again, it's free. So there's no cost in doing that. All right, so for our demo, what I wanted to do was take a look at a test event called Ad Astra, because I have sort of done some basics with it. All right, so the website that you're looking at here, I have put in some custom colors, this blue and the yellow. This is a fictional event that I want to have happen in my new home state. I just moved to in the capital, in Topeka. And here I'm offering 3 different events. So I've used the data components from the cover page. So this is the cover page. This is not the default layout that you're going to have when you first create an event and a website with us. Here's some more colors that I've configured that are part of the scheme that I did. So what it looks like on the back end here, and you can see when you first come to your dashboard, you're going to see page views, and it defaults to that last 7 days. But I can change this to see how many people have visited my site in the last 2 weeks, in the last month, in the last 90 days. So that gives me some sense of what kind of traffic I'm getting. And then I can also look down here under source and see where are people coming from. So coming from RunSignup, they're coming from Bing and Google, where they've been searching for it. So these are great little metrics that sort of help me understand the performance of my RunSignup site. Now, in order to do all those configurations that we were talking about, you're going to look at the race under race here, race website, and then this drop down, or this sort of submenu here, is really where you're going to be living to make most of your customizations for your website. And if you're not quite sure where something is, like maybe I'm just here and I'm like, whoa, where's cover page again? Remember, if you're not doing this already, I highly recommend it. Just type in under menu search, cover page, bam, it's going to give me any of our menu items or submenu items that have that word or that phrase in it. And that very first hit is right there. Okay, so you can see I have mine enabled. Before I do that though, I'm going to go back to that first one, which is our race theme. So the race template, this is where I am navigating between horizontal and vertical. I can add social media feeds here. I can add a countdown clock, a custom tagline. Again, I can hide the race name if I want. I can go from a grid to a list format for my events within the race. And I can choose which header color. And these colors are pulling from the scheme that I customized and created myself. And where are those colors? Right here under color scheme. So this is one I created. I can show you, I can add a brand new one here. It's going to just give me some defaults from the one that I had just created. If I click on each color, then I can go ahead and I can either use a color picker, or I can choose different formats in order to enter codes to put in those different colors. And it talks about what do these colors mean, these numbered colors. So usually color 1, that's your primary one. It's going to be used for your sign up button and titles, labels. But read through these descriptions, but I'll be honest, it takes some playing to do. So there's isn't a science to this necessarily. As we all know with design, it's also look and feel and trial and error. And trust me, I do a lot of that with these until I can get it exactly the way I want. But that's that's up to you, and that gives you that incredible flexibility to make sure that your site looks the way you want it to. Here's the race logo, so I can upload this here by bringing something up from my computer if I'd like. And then I can also choose a default one if maybe I don't have a logo right now, or maybe it's coming next week. So I can put something in place in the meantime. Then I can upload my banner image here. And again, this one's only going to be pulled if you are using our default website layout. So if you switch to the cover page, then it's going to be pulling the banner image from those settings. And then under custom wording, maybe I don't want to say sign up. Maybe I want to use the words register now. And then maybe instead of donate, I want to say donate today for my donate button. Okay, so you can also change, maybe you don't want to say participant, you want to use, every time participant is used in our platform, it says runner. So I would just type in the word runner. So I'll go ahead and save my setup here because I just made some changes. You can see that it did say sign up and donate here. And when I refresh, it has updated. So now it says register now, donate today. All right, so if I come back here to my race website menus, Then I can go down to cover page. So again, I've enabled this. Here's my header banner, and I can add additional images here, and I can switch it to so there's different, so I've got this switch to display image without cropping, because I don't want anything to get cropped from the image. I was very happy with my design in Canva, and I don't want to cut anything off. If I want to do a slideshow though, I'm going to turn that feature off, because it does need to be able to dynamically move in and out on different devices. And then you would see an option here to be able to add additional images, okay? So let me just, I can show you when I come in here. Again, I can add a title that would overlay on top of this. I can add a description that'll do that. And if I want to sort of edit or format that text, then I would switch to the rich text editor. And then you can see here, I can drop an image in, I can hyperlink something. And then here I can choose what color button I want. And then I can choose under background, I can choose what color that's going to be, or in this case, I'm just using my image here. I can swap this out for a different one. And then if I unclick the display image without cropping and save, then you can see it's going to let me add those additional images that will allow me to create a slideshow. Then under content, so event tiles, that's the only component that I've added right now. And I got to choose what color background I wanted. In this case, I wanted yellow, and then it's going to list all my events within the race. But here, when I click a brand new one, I can put in all kinds of different things. So let's say I want to add a countdown clock, okay? And I'm just going to call this clock, and I'm going to keep that blue background. That looks pretty. I do have some options again. Do I want it to be to the race start time, race end time, or a custom time, like maybe the start of registration? But I'm going to go ahead and keep it to the start of the race. Now I'm going to add, let's see, something from my data components list, right? This will be fun. And the first one it always defaults to is social media icon. So that's what I'm going to call it. And I'm going to say, you know what? I like that orange. That'll look nice right under the blue for the countdown clock I just added. And let's say now I'm going to add a video as well. So let me come over here to my helper document on my other screen and grab a funny video of somebody running through cornfields, because we're in Kansas, right? So video cornfields, and I'm just going to drop in either the full link here, or I can just drop in the end of that URL. All right, so look how quickly I've added 3 components to my cover page very, very quickly without much at all. Again, custom actions. This is where I'm really building from scratch, whether I have a full width column where I can add all kinds of different text. I'll just show you what it looks like real quick. I've got 2 columns. I can configure a title for each one of them. I can turn on that rich text editor for each of them. I can add buttons on each side. I can change it for a background or an image for each of them. I mean, the sky is the limit in terms of these customizations. And I think most of us will see that this is very similar to what we're used to on other sites like WordPress in terms of like how much you can actually do. So I think that's going to be all I'm going to do for right now. And then let me come back here to my site, and if I go ahead and refresh it, you can see I've added my countdown clock. I've got my social media icons, and then there is my video. That doesn't take me outside of RunSignup. It just brings the player up right in front, so I'm not actually exiting. So there we go. I've done a lot in a very short period of time. So just want to show you the ease and flexibility of all of that. So if I come back to my settings here, there's a few other things I just wanted to show you real quick. I think we're doing okay on time. The race location. So this is a common thing that folks ask about because normally it's going to default to the address that I put in when I went through the race wizard. But let's say I want to call it something very specific, or I want something just as simple as trying to lop off the zip code, right? Because we use some default settings because it works for the majority of our folks, maybe not for everybody. So I'm going to say instead I want to list the actual building that it's going to be at, the location and the address, but I don't want the city because it's in Topeka already, and I don't need to put the zip code. If you're there, you kind of know you don't need the zip code for that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and save my settings. And then that way, if I'm on my race info page, that has updated right here under place, okay? So a lot of people ask for that, and this is especially important if you're not using the cover page elements and you're using your race info page as your landing page, which again is what we default to when you create a race with us. So that's why that's important. Another piece that I'll point out under race website And we're going to get back to custom sections in a second. But under miscellaneous settings here, the custom date, I think, is another one that people ask about a lot. So our normal is that it will abbreviate the day of the week. So instead of Sunday, it'll say sun. And then there's no comma typically. And we don't add any, NDs or THs or anything to the numbers to help you. But let's say I just really prefer to have that, okay? So I've already configured that. And if I look up here, and I'm going to go back to my home page by clicking on my icon here for my cover page, when I scroll down, bam, this is that text right here. And I think that's really, I point out, because some people will use that and not just put the date. Maybe you say, if it's a virtual event, and be like, virtual event, anytime for the month of December. And otherwise it would just take whatever your start and your end dates are that you put in when you set up under your race wizard. You could also put up like you could add text in that says spots are running out, sign up today. I mean, it's custom text, so it doesn't know you're putting in a date, but that is text that's in a really critical real estate position. And when you're on your mobile devices for these events, you will really see why that is so important. Other things I wanted to show before we go to the custom content section real quick. So the domains, we talked about the bring your own domains. And again, I looked that up just by typing in the word domain. It's under race website domains. And that's where I would enter whatever domain I had created. Maybe it's something like this. Oops, yep, so it's got my .com over here, and there's these options you have to choose from. And I'm gonna go ahead and add that domain, and it's gonna start this process of being able to validate the ownership. And obviously this is a safety thing. You don't want people going in and using domains that are random and pointing them to places, right? So there's a lot of security that's on the back end of this, but I'll show you what it looks like for an event that has already successfully gone through this process. And so this is another event I have, coniferclimb.com, and it has been verified because I did all the right settings. Oops. Conifer Climb, bam, it took me to my RunSignup registration page. Okay. So we're gonna go back up to the custom sections now. So in this case, I added a course map. I added parking and directions. I added one for FAQs, for a post-race party, okay? So when I come into here, I've actually dropped in an image. Now again, I could put in a URL up here that would take me to a third-party location. Let's see, what else did I configure here? So I've got some other information about how you get to the event. Okay, well, I'm still in Conifer Climbs. That's fun. That's where I have some of this built out a little bit more. Let's go to the custom content display. So once I've created those custom content sections, I can tell it what I want to do with those. So do I want to just display it on the race page, which is that race info page over up here? And I've actually called it ride info because I can customize so many things and I was able to do that here. Or I can display it as a sub-menu item under any of my sort of top menu items. Or I can make it its own whole thing so that when they see at the very top, along with FAQs, refund policy, that they would see course map. Right now, I have it nested as a drop-down and a sub-page under ride info. And then I can also just display it on a confirmation email only. So you can see how quickly and easy you can toggle back and forth between different options. And again, it's a lot of playing and testing to see what's going to look best for your race website and the best for your event and your brand. And then the menu order, so I can drag and drop. So maybe I want the FAQs to appear below the refund policy, right? Maybe I want to hide it because I'm still working on it, or maybe I'm done with it for now. And it talked about a specific promotion we had for Black Friday. And I don't want to lose it because when I copy that information over next year, I want to hold on to that content, but I don't want to show it to the public anymore. That's why I might hide it. If I'm working on something that I'm planning on putting out to the public soon, maybe that's when I would choose to show it in draft mode. So lots of nice settings here. And again, you can move things around. I'll switch back over to my Ad Astra race here because it's a little bit more simple. Everyone's got their own preferences. I tend to hide the refund policy. Usually I put that on my FAQs just to take down how many things are up on my menu, make it simpler for people to get to things. Maybe I don't want them looking for registrations right now. It's not super important. I'm really building my marketing right now. So when I do that now, I've sort of taken this down from sort of more menu items up here. Now it looks a little bit simpler, right? So again, these are all just customizations, things that you can be really flexible on to make things look exactly the way that you want. Okay, so let me see. I also wanted just to point out where you can find the email capture. So again, what am I going to do? I'm going to type into my menu search, because that is where that makes things really easy to find things. And under email marketing, email capture. Okay, so I can enable that pop-up form, and I can do some configurations here about what it's actually going to look like, how many seconds I want to go by before it pops up. So guys, this is, I mean, we have a really deep platform in terms of customization and flexibility, and I think you get to see a lot of that through your race website, and all the different features that you can customize. So, you know, take an evening and maybe you're watching your favorite show or something, or you're skimming through a few episodes, right? This is a great time to kind of play around, and really, you know, find something that's going to be really compelling and dynamic, for your folks that might be signing up for you. So I think at this point, I am done showing all of what I wanted to. I mean, there's probably hours that we could keep going on this in terms of things that I'd love to show you on what you can do. But let's go move over. James, if you can help me out, if there's anything that came up in our questions section or window that we haven't addressed yet, or maybe that would be helpful for the rest of the group.
Yeah, there were a handful of questions at the very beginning here, related to the menu order bar. It's just I think a handy way to or anything to talk about right now would just be like, how do you reorganize your menu bar real quick, and how do you hide some of these things that are on the menu bar, like race info or event info? That was one thing that came up early.
Sure.
And if anyone else has any additional questions that you have, feel free to put them into the questions tab, and then we'll get to them and I'll have Steve address them.
Yeah, so just so since there were specific questions, I think we probably covered most of them later in the presentation. But yeah, so right under race website, again, you're always going to want to start with custom sections. This is where you can build, you know, whatever you'd like. Maybe it's called event schedule. Can't type when people are watching. Okay, and I'm just going to put in some random text here. I can add an image if I'd like. I'm going to save this, and now I'm going to go to custom. You just go in order, guys. So you start with the custom section, creating it. Then you go to custom content display. This is when I decide what I'm going to do with it. So let's say I'm going to display it as a new menu item. I'm going to go ahead and save. Then when I go to menu order, the third one down, again, I'm going in order. Now I can see my event schedule down here that I just created. And let's say I want to move it. All I got to do is drag and drop. I want it to be the first thing people see on the left-hand side when they come to my site. Or I'm still working on it because all I did was type in random text and it's not fit for the public. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in draft mode, or I'm just going to hide it completely. Okay. So that hopefully that answers that question. And again, if there's any, I don't know if we got anything else here.
Yeah, there's another one that's come in about how your race customization, your website customizations work in a race renewal scenario. Like, are these changes and these updates that you're making going to be able to come across when the race is renewed?
Yes, so you are able to copy or renew. So if you have an existing event and you just want to renew it for the following year because the event just happened, you can do that and bring over almost all elements. The cover page elements do not come over yet. So that's something that you may need to rebuild. You will need to rebuild. I think at some point in the future that will actually come over. The other piece that you can do is to copy it. So let's say you've got sort of a series of events, or maybe all of yours kind of have similar branding, or they've got similar content or similar events. You have all the same t-shirt size that you offer for all of them. That would be a great opportunity to copy the race. And so where you can do that is if you're going to go to my races, which is for my profile is going to show me all the things that I'm managing here. And so what I can look for here is something that was in the past. So let's try this turkey trot here. Oh, it's going to give me, hang on one second here. I'm doing this on the fly. So this is going to be, whoops. Sorry, bear with me here. Let me cover copy first because that's a little bit easier. So if I wanted to copy this ad Astra, I'm going to go ahead and click on the drop down to copy this race. Okay, so when I do that, it's going to put me into the wizard to then review the information that was from the event that I'm going to copy. I can create a new URL for it. And then I can also do some additional configurations on what events. Maybe I want to call this something a little bit different. And then when I get down to copy settings, I can click on show your existing settings, and it's going to show me all the things that I can bring over or not bring over. So it doesn't have to just blindly copy everything over. I can pick and choose which ones. And then just since I don't have an event that's set and ready to go for the renew, there's always a button at the top of your screen for an event that has just passed, where you can quickly go into the same sort of flow, and it'll help you get everything set up for the following year using the same information.
Great. We do have one question here about how to configure the countdown timer on the cover page. Like, do that, and how would you do that? And can you do it for a custom date as well, not just race start or registration start, but like a custom date?
Absolutely. So let's say, what I did when we were going through the demonstration, I added the countdown clock here. And so I could add a new one if I wanted to and delete this, or I can go in and just edit it by clicking the edit icon. Okay. And then under options, I clicked race start time. I can say race end time, or I can click on custom time. And it's going to show the time zone that I set for this specific event based on the location of the event I entered in the race wizard. But I can go ahead and set this for anything out in the future and any time. And then I would save. And it's going to bark at me because I didn't do what I was supposed to do, right? So a lot of other safeguards that we put in place to help you all be successful and don't have anything with empty content or things that don't make sense.
Great. Here, let's see.
Yeah, I think we've got some good questions coming in here.
Here, I'm going to pick one of those, Steve. And
yeah, let me see here. Easier to copy. Would it be easier to copy and tweak it as you want for the new one, or should you just recreate it? Is it easier to copy since most of the info? Yeah, I think if you've got things that really you're going to end up building again anyway in another event that you're trying to create, because we all have our certain preferences. We all order certain sizes or set things up or have similar language in our confirmation emails if we've customized that. So I think it's really helpful to copy. But if you're somebody that is dangerous with copying and pasting and it's hard to, you might miss some of those things, or maybe it's yourself and you don't have a team of people that are reviewing, it might make sense to start from scratch, because then it forces you into that very active and not passive mode to create your event. So I think that's really a personal preference. Are you able to, another question that came in from Elisa, are we able to edit the donation thermometer to reflect offline donations as well? Absolutely. So you can, under donations, within your dashboard, you're going to click on manual donations, and then you're just going to add a manual donation. And you can go in and do each individual manual donation, or you can just call it something like offline donations. Be careful with that, because that's probably only makes sense if you're doing that one time. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of like offline 1 donations, offline 2. But you can go in, and anything that you add as a manual is going to add to the total and sum them with the online donations. So that's a good, and it will be reflected in the donation goal thermometer. So that's a good question. Let's see, Randy says we'll see him at the RRCA convention. Missed the very first start. Where was the drop down for the custom web? So I'm trying to decipher that, James.
Yeah, I think Mark said he found it later on.
Good.
I think it was okay. Keith did ask if the countdown clock can be added to other pages besides the cover page. I do know that it exists on the race info page.
Right.
A certain way, but I'm not sure if it exists in other pages.
I don't believe that we can add that as a component. So I think we're going in that direction. For any of you that have used our ticket platform, TicketSignup.io, we have the ability to take different components and add them to any pages that you have on our site. And really, we've been sort of pioneering that concept or that idea on TicketSignup, which is one of our products that's more of in its infancy. Has exploded with our haunt events this fall. But I think we'll see that eventually. But right now, it's going to be either on that race info page, and that's within the race theme, race template settings. So if you go to homepage custom content, and you can do that race day countdown clock here, or you can configure on your cover page. So whether you use our default website display or cover page display, you can have the countdown there.
Great. Well, I believe we've addressed most of the questions here. Alyssa Perez, no, it's not, sorry, there's somebody has their hand raised. Oh, it's Mark. Anyone else has any other questions that you'd like to submit before we sign off today? Please feel free to do that. And if we, if you do find out that you have a question a little bit later on after reviewing the recordings or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to your account manager or our info team. We'd be happy to help out at any time. Looks like, Steve, it looks like I think we're not seeing any other questions coming in here. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, thanks for your help, James. And yeah, like James said, reach out guys to your account manager, to the info at team if you don't have an assigned account manager, and happy to show you different things, point you in the right direction. Also, when you're doing this, as I described, you're watching some Netflix shows late at night, and maybe folks aren't online to support you, or even just during the day when people are online. Google solutions, guys. If you're looking like how to create a website, RunSignup, if you Google that, your first 1 or 2 hits is going to be exactly what you need. It's going to walk you through. We just have amazing tutorials, other webinars that will do something similar to this. We have our RunSignup 101. It talks a little bit about the race websites. So just a lot of tools online so you don't leave hanging, and you can get to them when it's most convenient for you. So thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.